Dua for joining us today and sharing your insight throughout our news with as a former Secretary of Commerce, senior economist. Thank you very much. Now we move on to our next news. A senior Israeli political official has accused Hamas of sabotaging ongoing efforts to secure a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. Speaking anonymously, the official claimed Hamas rejected a Qatari-mediated proposal for a 60-day pause in fighting and is deliberately creating obstacles while waging what he called a psychological warfare campaign to derail negotiations. He added that Israel has shown flexibility in the Doha talks, but that Hamas is sticking to positions that prevent mediators from making progress. Despite the deadlock, the official reportedly said that the negotiations in Doha are still ongoing. Now we are joined by Adrian Calamir for this discussion. He's a terrorism scholar joining us live from New York. Thank you, Adrian, for joining us today. Good to see you. What role do third-party mediators like those involved in the Doha talks realistically can play in overcoming deadlocks in such high-stakes negotiations?
Great to see you, Asuma, and thank you for having me. And good morning to all your viewers. As far as third-party mediators, everything's been going through Doha. And so we have to look at Doha, Qatar, and the relationship to Hamas. The relationship to Hamas is Doha, Qatar is a Muslim Brotherhood nation, and Hamas is a Muslim Brotherhood organization. They are also one of the largest financial backers. So it has always been in their interest to make sure that they stay alive some way, shape, or form. And it looks like we're kind of reaching, at least Israel is reaching somewhat of a strategic dead end here, because as soon as the when hundreds of hostages were taken back to Gaza, that can completely change the dynamics of this conflict. And so, Israel is looking at the situation where it had really two objectives. One, to make sure Hamas could never reconstitute and launch another attack. And number two, that it gets all its hostages back. So those are the two goals. Whether those can get met using third-party mediators, especially Qatar, I don't see it like a good outcome. We've been down this path, at least over a dozen times, with multiple peace proposals floated through Qatar, handed to Hamas, and then rejected by Hamas. And then ultimately, we have to remember who controls Hamas at the end of the day. It's the Islamic Republic of Iran. They're the ones that are making the decisions. It goes through Doha and then to the Islamic Republic.
And Adrian, now, what are the strategic motivation behind Hamas maintaining their position that reportedly hinder progress in the ceasefire negotiations?
Yeah, it really is quite simple. They need to and want to maintain grip of the Gaza Strip. And unfortunately, this is a threat to Israel. This is a threat to the Palestinian people and their livelihood. This is why they look to derail any type of ceasefire talks, is because they realize that the international pressure is on Israel at this point, and they're going to use and continue to use the civilian casualties to their advantage and continue to wait out Israel until some type of ceasefire is arranged. But again, there remains this whole idea of getting the remaining living hostages back, as well as the bodies of the hostages who have been killed. So, Hamas has a very clear strategy, and it's to stay in power, and that's to create chaos.
And lastly, could Hamas's reported inflexibility be part of an internal power strategy or struggle? Since last year we saw that some leaders of Hamas were also killed, and maybe this reflects on their current prospects for sustainable ceasefire?
Yeah, it's really because when you look at the Hamas leadership structure, you got Mashal, who's living in Qatar right now, and then really the only person who's left is Ubaida, Abu Ubaida. And so there's a lot of questions about who's really calling the shots outside for Hamas, and then who's calling the shots for Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. But I think when we take a look back and take a look at the grand strategy here, it's ultimately Ali Khamenei that's calling the shots here. He's the one that's making the decisions. He's the one that decided to tell Hezbollah to start launching on October 8th against Israel, and the one that also told the Houthis to start firing. Hamas really has very little agency. They rely heavily for their funding from both Qatar and the Islamic Republic, or else they would be a non-entity.
Thank you, Adrian, for sharing that insight. You will stay with us as we stay in this topic. Thousands of Israeli